boy, in my last video of a monologue, I was sort of giving Disney and Lucasfilm some credit. I really was. It seemed like they came to the correct conclusion that the Disney trilogy was just not a viable entity to hitch their wagon to. It was a failure. And it failed because they lost half their audience over the span of a trilogy. Now in isolation, it just means that your trilogy isn't very appealing if fewer people keep going to see it. It happens. Jurassic Park, surprisingly, kind of did the same thing. Part 3 only pulled in a third of the numbers that the first one did. A third of the numbers that the first one did. Or maybe it's not so surprising. Those kind of did get worse with each one, didn't they? So maybe it did do the same thing. But it's surprisingly really hard to find, though. Every trilogy or movie series that I looked up did not have steady declines in opening weekend, domestic box, and worldwide box. I couldn't find one. John Wick, Jason Bourne, The Matrix, Spider-Man's, both with Maguire and the other guy, the new guy, the current guy, why can't I remember his name, doesn't matter, The Dark Knight, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, the Potter franchise, Iron Man, Hunger Games, the Mummy, Wolverine, Avengers, Captain America, Back to the Future, maybe Night at the Museum. I didn't study that one deeply, but I looked at it. None of them did it. The Disney trilogy is the only trilogy that I could find that trended downward in those metrics with each film. Go to thenumber.com and find me one. I can't find one. And I went through dozens of trilogies over the past few decades. I could not find one. It seems impossible to do. But Kathy pulled it off. As if that was bad enough, it actually is worse than that. This trilogy was the final trilogy. The final chapter in the Palpatine saga that spans 9 films in 42 years. Anyone with any shred of interest should have wanted to see how it all ended, but half the audience didn't care to. Even though many have been invested for decades. That speaks volumes, my friends. Now behind closed doors, it looks like they begrudgingly accepted the truth of this. With all these new projects coming out, none of them had anything to do with their trilogy, or their characters that the masses did not embrace. As if it never happened, and they never existed. They're finally making a smart, informed decision, and it's commendable. It's like they took the pulse of the fan base for once and asked, what do you guys like? And the fans said, not what you're doing, we like what George did. We like what Filoni did. And stop shitting on the old characters while you're at it. Lucasfilm listened and said, okay, fine, fair enough, I guess that's the way. Hell, it only took 7 years, but it looked like they finally were starting to get it. It looked like they were starting to cater to the majority of their fan base. Those are the people with disposable income who give money to watch their films, play their games, subscribe to their streaming service, buy their toys, buy their books, and otherwise support their product. It makes all the business sense in the world to do things that appeal to the majority of your customer base. Until recently, they were catering and pandering to the 1% at the expense of the 99% and acquiring all the virtue points that they could collect, which is ultimately fruitless. The 1% don't buy your products, and in the end, they'll turn on you anyway. We've seen it time and again. But it looks like they were swinging back to the 99%, and I gave them credit for this change in direction, for setting things up to be successful. But I also said in my last non-video that this is Lucasfilm after all, and when things start to go in a positive, good direction, they have a habit of shitting themselves. And that certainly did not take too long. 1 day after I posted my last video. Yes, they fired Gina Carano. And, oh yeah, I'm going to talk a little politics. Lucasfilm, turn up your speakers here a little bit. You are, let me get closer. You are fucking hypocrites and a contemptible ass company. And why did they get rid of Gina? Well, I think everybody knows by now. But why does Pedro Pascal still have a job? He once posted a photo of kids in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany. Why does everyone like bleep out Nazi? I've noticed in videos people bleep out Nazi. Well, why is that? I don't understand it, but I won't bleep it out. What's wrong? You can say it. It's historical. Anyway, next to this, he posted that photo. And next to that photo was supposedly a photo of kids in a similar looking camp at the Mexican border. It was of course designed to illustrate that the good old USA was just like good old Nazi Germany. And also to take a shot at Trump, of course. One little minor hiccup was that those cages that he was talking about were not from the Trump administration. Those actually were from the Obama administration. And that photo of the kids, that wasn't even from the United States. It was from Israel. But I guess the fact checkers weren't working that day. But who cares? As long as you could successfully make the comparison, what difference does it really make? 9 out of 10 people on social media aren't going to look it up to see if it's true anyway. So mission accomplished. And he had another post from last November where he inferred that Trump and his supporters were racists and Nazis. Why do people keep bleeping out racist when they do their video? I don't understand that. But anyway, way to group 74 million people into your defamation, Pedro. Good use of the bigoted broad brush, mi amigo. Oh, but it didn't end there. He wasn't the only one employed by Lucasfilm spouting off recently. Over on lovely Twitter, the gold standard of civility, High Republic author Justina Ireland was bashing white men. And High Republic show host Christina Ariel was bashing just white people in general. Now, I'm not saying that any of them should be fired for what they posted. Not at all. Even if I found it offensive, who cares? I'm not a fucking child. I'm not part of the Charmin soft generation plaguing society today. They're just words and opinions. How does that hurt me? All it really does is expose who they are as people, and that's their problem. It's not mine. They can say whatever they want. Actually, you know what? If Gina was fired for what she posted, then yes. Pascal should be fired for what he posted too. As well as Ariel in Ireland. If they're going to can people for saying potentially controversial things on specific subjects, that I would say that bashing white people should also qualify. That could be considered racist, just a little bit. But judge everyone by the same standard. It should be a simple standard. If you post incendiary things about a collection of people, you're fired. That should be the policy. Shouldn't matter if you're a Democrat or a conservative or a libertarian or what color you are or what you had for breakfast. It's all irrelevant. Say things of that nature and you're done no matter who you are. But if Lucasfilm will not just shut up and make Star Wars, then there should really be a defined policy over there. But there's not. There's clearly not. Pascal, Ireland, Ariel, others, they're all still employed. The takeaway that a lot of people are noticing is that it's apparently okay to post arguably sexist, racist, defamatory, or bigoted things as long as your political beliefs align with the leaders of Lucasfilm and Disney. Fire Gina for referencing the Holocaust in some way, then out of the other side of your ass, thank China for their hospitality when filming Mulan, right next to where they're actually committing real genocide today. Thanks for all your help. Hope we didn't get in the way of what you got going on over there. And therein lies the hypocrisy and the double standard that a lot of people are starting to get pissed off about. Again, just to reaffirm, I don't think any of them should be fired. Say whatever you want. I just think the company needs to be consistent, and that's what I'm pissed off about. I cannot stand hypocrisy. I mean, at this point, they've lost all credibility with a lot of people. And this one involved a popular character in a big name franchise. So this one got a lot of press. And it's still getting press. The result of the situation was a bit of anger and outrage. Not fake outrage by, those people that do that. But I mean real outrage. It really exposed Disney and Lucasfilm for the piece of shit companies that they are. Just another example of hypocrisy and double standards that we've been seeing in various forms over the last year now. And people are getting more and more sick of it. Since this happened, every post on the Star Wars YouTube channel has been ratioed into oblivion. Disney Plus is losing subscribers hand over fucking fist. I'm sure a bunch will come back eventually, but a message is being delivered right now today. And even they're smart enough to know what it is. If they're not, here's a brief, simple synopsis. A lot of people are paying attention to what you're doing, how you run your business, and a lot of people don't like it. A lot of paying people don't like it. The Mandalorian was a positive step to get things back on track. The announcement of a dozen new projects that had nothing to do with the Disney trilogy was a positive step to get things back on track. To start building a little trust where there was little. Maybe it got people thinking that they finally figured it out. Shit, it wasn't a riddle to begin with, but they sure made it one. Well, they screwed The Mandalorian with this nonsense. And now that show is going to take a huge hit next season from the sea of people who are currently holding up double birds in Disney's general direction. It was the only real positive thing going right now, and it was enough. It ended on a positive note, a lot of people were happy about it, and they could springboard off that. All they needed was one good thing to get the masses back on board. They had it, and then they done fucked it up as expected, and now hordes of people are hopping back off again. Good work, Kathy. Excellent instincts and decision making. As usual, you never fail to impress. The High Republic also isn't helping either. And I know who the target audience is supposed to be, but still, what a piece of work that is. And here I thought they actually learned something. I guess I was mistaken. That's all. I'm out.